All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. The main event here. So as you can see from the title and thunder, we're going to be going over the Paldea starters and how good I think they can be competitively. I'm not going to do like full out move sets, like which four moves you should run and what EVs you should run. No, that's not what I'm going to do. I want to go over what moves they have, like their move pool, their abilities, their stats, and how I think that can make them a good or a bad Pokemon. Cerebi does have the Paldea Dex up, so I'm going to be using that as the resource. The images will be of the final evolutions, so this is your last chance to, avoid spoiler warnings if that's what you want. I will probably not have the images of them in the thumbnail, since it's still early, but this is your last chance. So before we go on to the first one, which will be the grass type evolution, I'm not gonna say the name yet until I click on it. Leave a like for your boy. If you like competitive Pokemon and you aren't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. So we're gonna move on to the first one. We're doing in Dex order. So first is gonna be Mia Scouter. Little Dark Magician, probably what I'm gonna name mine. So first thing I want to look at with any Pokemon is the typing, right? It's grass and dark, which I think is a pretty good typing. It's not like outstanding, but it's not terrible either, right? So the things I like to look at are one, your defensive typing. So you are weak to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 types, which is not great. But I will say, bug, if you saw my last video, I'm not too worried about as much. So that would bring it down from 7 to 6. And poison, I'm not too concerned about either. So that'll bring it down to 5. So like 7 with 2 asterisks as far as your defensive liabilities. On the flip side, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counting psychics immunity, 6, 7 resistances, which is actually outstanding, and everything else is neutral. So I think that buffers his defensive typing a lot, having that many resistant immunities. So I think as far as defensive typing, it's probably pretty neutral because it's kind of right in the middle, 7 and 7, everything else. But like I said, it might even skew a little bit towards good because 2 of those I just don't really take a lot of stock in poison and bug. So let's go over to what its actual base stats are, and then we'll go to the move pool. So the speed is outstanding on this thing. 123 speed, especially in this game where I don't know how many Pokemon are going to be like super fast, at least to start the format. Maybe when the restricteds come, then you got to worry about the speed more. But even with that, right? Let's say Calyrex Shadow's in the game. You're a dark type anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Dragapult's in the game, but it's a ghost type. You're a dark type, so again, you're a super fast dark type. Which are the things that would outspeed you. You would have to worry about Zacian, but if we're being honest, everything has to worry about Zacian, so it doesn't actually matter. Defenses are not great. 76 HP is fine. 70 defense, special defense is okay, but you're not really just like stacking, like taking big damage all the time and just living. Now, granted, the immunities and the resistances will help with that, so I'm pretty sure you could EV this thing in ways to survive certain hits once we get more familiar with the games. But I think that it's a kind of a middling defensive Pokemon. Obviously, it is going to be mostly an offensive attacker. That's why they give you the speed. That's why they give you the high attack stat. Special attack is all right. So if you wanted to switch it up, you could, but I probably wouldn't recommend it just because you kind of just want to take advantage of this. Especially while stuff like Incineroar is not in the game right now, so you can just take advantage of the lack of intimidators that you'll probably see to start. So what I want to go through, the move pool on this thing is actually insane, and then the ability is also pretty broken. So this thing gets Protean, which before the Pokemon uses the move, it becomes a pure type of that Pokemon. Now it does work once per battle, but I'll tell you why I don't think that matters. So let's say, for example, you take this Pokemon, give it an Assault Vest to give it some more bulk. Just give it 4 attacking moves, right? You give it a Grass Stab, a Dark Stab. You already have 2 stabs. Then you could take a coverage move like, if they say you have an electric type move. I think it does get like Thunder Punch. Let's take a look. Does it get that with the other ones I was looking at? So it does get Thunder Punch. Correct. So you get Thunder Punch. You could use Thunder Punch as your coverage, be stab, and hit water types. And then you can terrestrialize if you need to, change to another type, and then you can use, if you want to be fairy type, you can use fairy type moves. I'm pretty sure this thing gets Play Rough. Right, so Protean being a once per battle thing is not a nail in the coffin because you can still terrestrialized anyway. So essentially every Pokemon gets Protean at least once. But I think that this is I do think that it's really good ability because it basically lets you use your terrestrialization kind of like twice technically. This thing's best move is probably best offensive move is probably this first one, Flower Trick. It learns to evolution. This is actually insane. And I think I have my calculator up too. The user throws a rigged bouquet of flowers at the target because it's a magician. The attack never misses and always lands a critical hit. Right, that one never missing is already insane, right? Because it's always going to land and it's always going to land critically, which is pretty broken. It's 70 base power. If you account for a stab and the crit, it goes all the way up to 157 base power. That's every time it's not missing with a 110 base attack stat. That's actually pretty insane. And then if you want to, add a life orb or some kind of grassy seed or something to boost it, it goes even higher. So that's actually going to be the most spammable move because you hit rock types, ground types, water types with it, which are those three types usually accompany pretty bulky defensive mons. You can crit right through that stuff. You can crit through the defense increases. You're hitting them for 157 base power each time. Even mons that resist it, if you divide this number by 2, you're still taking more than the base power, right? 78, almost 79 base power. So you're still hitting stuff for decent damage. You're going to be chunking stuff. The dark stabs on this are great. They do have Night Slash, so you could potentially run 2 moves that have one that always crits and then the second stab that has an increased crit chance. But because the leaf one always crits, I would probably run something like Knockoff just because it has way more utility. You can obviously remove items from the opposing Pokemon, and I think items are going to be a big deal in this game, so that could be important. And it also gets Sucker Punch, I'm pretty sure. Where did that go? It's an egg move, right? Sucker Punch. So get Sucker Punch, right? So I think Sucker Punch is also a great option for stab. For Dark Stab. It gets Petal Blizzard, but I would never run this over the grass move, grass move that it has. It just doesn't really make sense to me. Now this thing could obviously be super offensive and super fast, but they gave it I think this is supposed to be like their Incineroar of the gen because they gave it a lot of really good support moves as well. So let's actually just start from the top and run down. So the first one I think I saw was Fake Tears. Well, U-turn is also great, right? Because it allows you to fast pivot. You want your pivot to always be like really fast or really slow depending on the mon. So a mon like this that's not very bulky, you want to have a fast pivot and has speed. So you want to hit something, get out of there, and then bring in maybe a better defensive matchup into what you're dealing with. Something like that's Incineroar that's slower. You want it to be slower, take the hit because it's bulky, and then get out. So that's how you want to handle pivoting. Play Rough is a great move, but I want to look at the support moves. Fake Tears, a fast Fake Tears usually that doesn't rely on Prankster is always going to be good. Especially with like the priority blocking in this game. You can lower the special defense stat of the opponent by 2 stages, and you can use whatever your partner Pokemon is to really do some damage. You could even run like mixed sets where you have the offensive moves, but invest all in your speed and bulk. Always crit with the leaf type move because that is going to always do damage, and then have like Fake Tears support. You can have Thief, which is going to snatch items, but I don't really like Thief over Knockoff because one, you're taking the item, but you don't want to take an item that's detrimental to you. And essentially, you're using Thief to remove the opponent's item. But once you're holding an item, you can't take an opponent's item. So Knockoff is just way better as a support move or an offensive type move. Fast flings are good because you can always activate weakness policies with them. Foul Play is also great because you can use that again if you want to invest in your speed and your bulk and not necessarily your attack. Foul Play does damage based on the opponent's attack stat, so you can use it against those physical attackers. Speedy Taunt, without, again, not relying on priority, is going to be very good because, again, all the priority blocking in this game. Skill Swap is interesting because fast Skill Swap users, giving your teammate Protean or, just snatching up a broken ability from the opponent is going to be very, very good. A fast trick that doesn't rely on priority, substitute that's fast. So if you're about to, take a big hit, you can sub out the way of it. So this Pokemon is actually going to be really good. I think it's going to be something that a helping hand. Yeah. So whether you want to run it offensively, supportively, or both, I think it'll be great. I just think the move pool and the stats are too good. The typing is too solid for it to be anything other than a staple in like the meta games. Like how when Rillaboom came out last gen, it didn't look crazy great at first, but like when we found out the hidden ability, then you saw its move pool, and then it ended up winning worlds. So That's how the Mia Scouter overview. So I'm gonna go over to the next one, the Fire Starter, and that's gonna be Skeledirge. I'm still trying to learn how to pronounce these. So its typing is Fire and Ghost, which I just like personally. I think the design is awesome. Its ability is Unaware, which basically means its hidden ability is Unaware. So full stat modifications are ignored. So what does that mean? If your opponent has like Iron Defense boost, they're boosting their defense or they're boosting their special defense. You ignore those stat changes. Now I know Unaware. I feel like it used to also ignore stuff like the opponent's Swords Dance or Weakness Policy boost. I'm not sure. Someone in the comments let me know if this is right or not. But I think the Dex entry for Unaware in gens like 8 at least, maybe even 7, change it to when you're attacking, you ignore boost. So now you still will take that increased damage from the opposing stat boost, but you still ignore their defensive buffs, so which is still great. So let me know if that's wrong in the comments or if that's correct. So let's go over to the stats. So it has pretty good physical bulk. Defense is 100. That's amazing to me. 104 HP is also amazing because even though the special defense is not out of this world, having really good HP can help mitigate some of that weak special defense. And there's worse special defense mods that do great in these games, so it's not that big of a deal. You are also in a special attacker at 110, which is always good because you just the less you have to worry about intimidate, the better. The speed is a bit middling, which is not terrible. Now you would want it to be probably a little bit slower, but I guess it does give it the advantage of you could run it min speed, be really slow in Trick Room, or you could, catch people off guard with like a full speed, what's it called, a timid nature kind of thing. So you have some options. I still would prefer it to be like it's slower or faster. Let's just choose a side. But the middling speed has its advantages. So let's go up here. So I'll go back to the fire and ghost typing. So let's count them up. So you are weak to water, which is always not great, but you deal with you can live with that. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 5 weaknesses, which is not bad for a bulky mon like this. You have 1, 2. So these things, right? Before we even get to the rest of the resistances and the immunities, resisting fairy and steel with like fire type, because your fire type is always going to be beneficial. Being bulky and resisting the 2 probably strongest types in the game is always going to be a good thing. So that already puts it at good defensive typing, at least for me. You resist bug, but I don't care. Again, we don't care about bug or poison. So, but we'll count them anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, this is actually great defensive typing because you have 9 resistances. Even if you take away poison and bug, you still have 7, and 2 of those are immunities, right? You don't get hit by normal or fighting type moves. So this thing is going to be a very, very hard to break kind of Pokemon if you invest in it defensively, because just not enough types hit it for super effective, and 2 of them are going to be very uncommon offensive types in bug and poison. And then even your neutral damage, you take damage neutral from like 4 types of Pokemon. So it's like you're going to be awesome. So it is a special attacker. So let's go to its evolution move, Torch Song. This user blows out raging flames as if singing a song, scorching the target. This also boosts the user's special attack stat. So that's actually nuts, right? Because it doesn't say like if you knock the opponent out, it boosts your special attack stat. You just boost it. So your attack stat is already 110 base. Your special attack, right? It's already 110 base. So you boost it by 1 stage. That is 55. So you go up to 165 after just using the move. And then it goes up every time whether you knock something out or not. That's actually too strong. That's actually way too strong. That's like, because like I said, you know how like Calyrex and Regina get a boost when, well, Calyrex gets a boost when it knocks something out. Regina gets a boost when something faints. This just gets a boost because it feels like, and that's actually really busted. And fire is also good offensive typing. You hit grass, ice, steel, for super effective. You hit most things for neutral. I think just fire, water, and rock resist you. So you're hitting everything for big damage regardless. It has 10 PP, but like that's plenty in a doubles battle, which only lasts a few turns. Its base its base power is 80, which is very, very respectable. You can't make it any higher than that. Be way too strong. Incinerate, you don't really care about a move like Incinerate because you just get rid of the berries, lower base power. You probably never use any fire type move except Torch Song, to be honest. I don't think you do it. Does it get Shadow Ball? And it gets Shadow Ball for Ghost Stab, right? So that's perfect because now you can use this, boost your special attack. Then you can, use your Ghost type stab on stuff that needs it. And then if you want to terrestrialize into normal, you get special attack boost with Hyper Voices. So this thing's gonna be an awesome special attacker, a special attack sweeper in Trick Room. Whether you play singles or doubles, that is actually gonna be insane. It gets some physical moves like Thunder Fang, Fire Fang, but we don't care about that stuff. It does get Will-O-Wisp and Hex, but I just don't see why you would want to run that type where you Hex stuff and then next turn you get double damage. When again you could just run the Torch Song, get increased damage output, and you hit everything except whereas Hexed Mons you only do double damage to stuff that is status. This doesn't make sense to me. You can set your own sun, which is actually pretty good too. This moves pool is okay. It's not great. You could imprison Will-O-Wisp seems like a cool thing to do, but I think substitute Torch Song, Shadow Ball, Protect is probably going to be like your go-to. I know I said I wasn't really going to do move sets, but just going through the moves, I think that's just like your really good option. Special attack boosted heat waves are always going to be good if you want some spread damage, so I think that's a good option. I don't know if you like Earth Power is good to hit those rock types, but do you need it if you have like special attack boosted Shadow Balls anyway? Right? That one move Torch Song changes the entire dynamic of this Pokemon because it makes it where all your special attack moves are essentially stronger, and means you don't necessarily need as much coverage. Now maybe you could use it boost up your Earth Power and really start knocking stuff out, but yeah, I just think the staple for this mon is probably going to be Torch Song, Shadow Ball, Sub and Protect, or you might want to terrestrialize it and add Terra Blast to a different typing, and then you can just use that and then have like Sub and Protect as your fourth move. You could even have like Helping Hand if you want to use it supportively before it goes down on the turns that your Trick Room is over. It does have Curse, but I don't think I'd use Curse on this thing because with Ghost types, Curse does damage to your opponent passively, but it also takes away some of your health, and I don't want to do that to my bulky boy. So yeah, I think this thing's gonna be awesome. So the starters are looking very good to me so far. And spoiler alert, the third one's actually really good too. Very, very quietly. And the third one we're gonna go to right now. Let's go back to the top. Should have had this at the top, my bad. It's a Quackavall. Interesting name. But its typing is pretty good. Let's start with that. Water and Fighting. Water and Fighting is pretty good because you resist a lot of really strong types. So you resist Steel, which I think is always gonna be good. Resisting Dark, which is good offensive typing. You resist Bug, which I don't care about. You resist Rock, which is a good offensive typing. You resist Ice, which is a great offensive typing. You resist Water, which is good, and you resist Fire, which is great offensive typing. You do take damages from Electric and Grass, which are both pretty good. And flying, having a flying weakness is not great in this. It's not going to be great in this game. Weakness to Psyking is you can work around that, but weakness to Fairy is also going to be very tough. Anytime something's weak to Fairy is always going to obviously struggle when a lot of Fairy types are in the meta. So we'll see how terrestrializing affects that because I feel like a lot of people might use Fairy type as their type to transform into. So we'll see, but I think otherwise it's pretty good defensive typing. Everything else is pretty neutral. You resist some really important types. So this thing's stats, right, don't jump out at you on first glance. 85 speed is okay. Defenses, 85 HP is good. Defenses, 80 defense is good. Special defense is all right. Not great. Defenses don't jump out. Attacks at 120 really good. But it seems very, average on its head. And I'll tell you why I think they made it this way. So I'm going to go back up to its abilities and its move. So its ability is Moxie, right? Whenever you knock a Pokemon out, you gain one stage of attacks. That's already probably one reason why when you give something Moxie, you have to balance it in a way because it's going to boost its attack. Obviously, it's not as good as Torch Song, but we'll get to why they had its own version of that. So its move Aqua Step. Basically, it does 80 base power damage, water, physical stab. There's also boost the user's speed stat. So if you knock something out with Aqua Step, you get a +1 in your speed. So your base 85 speed is like what, 125, 130 base speed, and then your 120 attack from the Moxie boost is now 180. So now all of a sudden you went from this very average Pokemon to this very busted Pokemon. And I think that's why the stats are not like that. I feel like the other two have better stat pool, better stat allocations. But this one has the best as far as like utility to increase those stats on its own with Aqua Step plus Moxie. Like you could potentially be getting a boost in both of those things every turn, depending on how you play. It is a physical attacker. It does get close combat because you always want to run a stab for each most of the times. Close combat probably the best fighting move in the game most time. Although some formats low sweep is really great just for those heavier Pokemon, especially without Dynamax being around anymore. I want to talk about this move, the Wave Crash. So this is basically like Flare Blitz, but for water types. So the user shrouds itself in water and slams into the target with its whole body to inflict damage. Damages the user quite a lot. Basically water Flare Blitz. 120 base power, 100 accuracy. So if you get your speed boost with the Aqua Step, let's say you have a Moxie boost or two on here, you're with the water type being like very neutral into most things, only resisted by other water types and resisted by grass, I believe. You're hitting most things for like incredible damage with this thing. I mean incredible damage. 120 base power, a 120 attack boosted up to 120, 180 after a Moxie boost, and you're really fast after a speed booster too. This thing is gonna be blowing stuff up. Now you're probably gonna go down too because of the damage you'll be doing. But like, if you take out one of your opponent's big hitters, a 1-for-1 trade is not that bad. Or like, if it's the end of the game and you have two Pokemon, they have one, and you just want to blow it up, just blow it up and you'll win. It gets other pretty good moves like Acrobatics. I think it's a good move that you can use after you get rid of one of your items. Its move pool leaves a little bit to be desired. Because I think some of these moves that it has work better for the other ones. So like Bulk Up is better for like a mom that can waste a turn just clicking a stat boosting move. U-turn is pretty good, but again, I think it's better for faster or slower mons than 85 speed. So I don't know if I like it that much, especially because you have to wait for a speed boost for it. It does get Swords Dance. Where's Swords Dance? I know it's in here, but I know for sure it gets Swords Dance. Swords Dance is a pretty good. Like I know I just said you don't really want to waste a turn getting your stats up with this thing, but if you can sneak a turn where you can get a Swords Dance boost, and then you can start getting those speed boosts, you can actually just start being broken right from the get-go of the game. So I do think that there is some options there to fit Swords Dance to the moveset. It does have some support moves like Feather Dance, covers the target's body with a mass of down that harshly lowers the attack stats. So that's 2 stages. So you could do something like that with this Pokemon. Although I think I'd probably run it offensively, to be perfectly honest with you. It does have some special type moves, like this one where the user attacks, like Chilling Water, uses the user attacks the target by showering it with water that's so cold it saps the target's power, lowers the attack stat by probably 1 stage. 50 base power, your special attack's not great. So I don't know if I'd run it. Icy Wind is a good supportive move, but it's just a matter of, are you bulky and fast enough on turn 1 to really make it work? I don't think so necessarily, but you could try it. It does get some decent coverage and stuff like Brick Break. I think with this, what they wanted to do is basically keep it from being overly broken, because it gave it a really good ability and a really good water move. So they can't give it too much, so I can understand that. It does have Baton Pass. I don't play a lot of singles, so I don't know what the rules are on Baton Pass. I'm pretty sure it's banned in a lot of your formats, but I do think in doubles where like if you are really boosted in your speed and boosted in your attack, and your Quackavall is about to maybe go down this turn, you Baton Pass those boosts to something else, and it could be GG's for the opponent. So that's something to look out for. I think that's going to be some sneaky tech that people use. It does get Brave Bird, which could be nice coverage, but I just think most of the time Terra Blast is probably going to be your best coverage move in this game. The detect as a negative move doesn't move me because you can just protect. Roost could be nice because if you're fast, you can be a fast rooster. But I do think essentially you're probably gonna mostly run your 2 water moves, your Aqua Step, your Wave Crash, and your Close Combat, and then like a protect, or if you want to run a status move there. Yeah, because those three are going to be strong enough as it is. You're going to be very, very offensively overpowered after some boost. The rest of the move pool, like I said, is not great, but I don't think it needs it, honestly. Even if people know like it has that stuff, it doesn't. It essentially doesn't matter because they can't really do nothing about it. Maybe like a Storm Drain user, but you can cover that obviously with like your grass types. You can close combat that. So I think all three of these mons are going to be mons that are going to be good from when they get their hidden abilities straight through the entire year to like Worlds. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these starters even won Worlds. I would not be shocked one bit. So that's all I got for today. How long is this video? About 25 minutes, probably. Man, I didn't realize I was talking that long. I hope I wasn't rambling. Let me know if I was in the comments below. So yeah, again, if you are new and you like a bit of Pokemon, subscribe for your boy. If you are already here from previous videos but you're not subscribed, subscribe to your boy. Leave a like, whether you're new or old. We will see you guys in the next video. I'm gonna probably do some more of these overviews for some other Pokemon. I might do my playthrough on YouTube or Twitch. I'm not sure. I'll figure that out later. But otherwise, I see you guys in the next video. Peace.